Okay, Skylabs, August 28th. What? Oh, huh. Oh, hey, how's it going? Almost didn't see you there. Well, since you're here, why don't I just go ahead and introduce myself? Hey, everyone. My name's Asher. I'm a long time community member and an investor in both Vetter and now the soon-to-be launching Skylabs token. I just kind of wanted to make a quick video. This video really what it's going to be about is I'm going to be breaking down the white paper. I'm going to be just kind of going through it and kind of really explaining it in a way that's a little bit more easier to understand, a little bit more digestible. So we'll get into that, but first I just kind of wanted to introduce myself a little bit and just kind of give you guys a little bit of background story about me. So I've been in the community for, well, I came across Vetter token back in 2021 when they launched in October. So I was able to really kind of get involved really early on when Vetter first launched. I've stuck around. I've been in the community. I've used the calendar. So I've really found a lot of success with that. Actually, I've been in the whole like altcoin / meme token like scene or industry for just a couple of years now, and I found a lot of success. So much so that I've been able to quit my full-time job and just live off of my cryptocurrency and investments and trading. And so, I've only been at it for like maybe not even 2 years. And so, if I've been able to do that within that amount of time, I know that anybody can do that, right? So if you're watching this and you have, aspirations or you have certain financial goals, you're doing good. You're kind of ahead of the pack, right? You're in here, you're getting involved, you're getting curious, you're trying to figure out, what's going on, what the buzz is about. And so, to speak to that, you've come across a really great community and ecosystem and project with Vetter and Skylabs now. So, if you're new to the community, I just want to say welcome. So happy to have you here. And also, if you're a long time community member, if you've been around for a bit, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. So this video really is just going to be about kind of going through the white paper, giving you guys a brief overview, making it a little bit easier to understand, a little bit more digestible if you're new. I know that sometimes when you're first kind of getting into the crypto community, it can be a little bit intimidating, and hearing all these kind of like all these words get kind of thrown around. And then even when you do go and read through the white paper, it's still just kind of like, okay, like what's really going on here? Like what are they really trying to build out? So this video is going to be for you guys. And also, if you kind of already are a little bit more experienced, I think you might find a lot of good nuggets in this as well. I'm going to kind of just like give some examples to highlight, the benefits of the staking and the royalties and the allocation shares, just how fortunate that we all are to stumbled upon a project of this caliber so early on, So anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. I want to respect everybody's time. So, and by the way, this isn't solicited. I haven't, the team didn't ask me to make this. I actually am just a community member and an investor in these projects. And so I have a lot of time on my hands, and I thought, okay, what's the very best way that I can kind of like contribute some sort of value to the community, maybe give them a kind of a feel for what kind of members are in the community, how strong the community is. And so I hope that this is kind of a testament to that, I care so deeply about these projects. I truly believe in them. And, and I've been around the block. Like I know when a project's, kind of not so great, kind of want to stay away, or when a project is actually like, whoa, like this is seriously like a sleeping giant, like Mike says, like, or a birthing giant, this really is has the potential to be huge, to go mainstream. And so I just wanted to make a video to really help everyone kind of maybe make it a little bit easier for everyone to see that, right? And so again, welcome. I'm excited for everyone here. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, guys, so here we are. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So here's the Skylabs VSL token staking overview. Now, real quick, before we get started, I do just want to say, quick disclaimer, none of this, nothing that I say, nothing that's on this presentation, or really just generally speaking, anything that's on the internet, like you really shouldn't consider it as financial advice. You always want to make sure that you do your own research, do your own diligence before making any sort of investment. Okay. So if you want to pause and, take the time to read that, paragraph, that's basically what it says, but long story short, too long to read. None of this is financial advice, and please do your own research. Okay. So getting right into it. Let's just start off with a buying example. Okay, so let's say that you have 10 BNB. You want to buy 10 BNB worth of a VSL token at launch. And in this example, let's say at the market price one BNB gets you about, 500,000 VSL. Okay, it fluctuates, but let's just, just to use nice even round numbers, let's go ahead and go with that. So you have 10 BNB. So you multiply the amount that it would get you per BNB by the amount of BNB that you have, which would then equate to about 5 million VSL tokens. Okay, so now let's say that the price of VSL increases by a factor of 5x, or about a 400% increase. The amount of BNB that you spent to buy this 5 million VSL tokens was 10. Well, that also gets multiplied. So now your 5 million VSL tokens are now worth 50 BNB. All right, so a couple different strategies. Okay, so we'll go with example one. Here's one strategy. So you want to secure your initial 10 BNB investment. So you sell about a fifth of your VSL position. You have about 5 million VSL tokens. You want to sell about a fifth. So that would mean selling about 1 million, which would then equate to 4 million VSL tokens. So in this case, you now have 4 million VSL tokens to stake. Plus you do still have your 10 BNB because you sold some, and you have that for any dips, etc. Whatever you want to do with it, it's yours to use. But also consider the possibility of, the price of VSL continues to increase. And so you would then have to buy more VSL at a higher price. So that would basically mean that your 10 BNB gets you less VSL per BNB, right? Because the demand is increasing, the price is going up. And so another strategy would be, let's just say that instead you have your 5 million VSL, and instead you hold and stake the entire position. You do this because you know that this means more pre-sale allocation percentages and more royalty share percentages. And so you would have your 5 million VSL tokens, and in this case, you wouldn't really be worried about the VSL price fluctuations, because again, you know that staking more VSL would mean earning even more royalties, which is essentially another way to say it is free VSL tokens, or in another way, and I'm going to get into this on how this could be considered passive income, without having to spend any more of your BNB. Okay, you just stake it, it's done. You're collecting tokens as you go. And the fact that you're actually staking 1 million more than this other guy would mean that you're actually getting a bigger percentage of the pie, would mean that you're getting more tokens than this person is over here. Okay, so we're actually gonna go into that here as we progress through this, but let's go ahead and move on, because I want to talk about something huge here, and it's the effect of Vetter token. Okay, the effect that it has as a multiplier. So holding Vetter tokens gives you a multiplier bonus to your staked VSL tokens. Now, real quick, every 100,000 staked VSL gets you 1 pre-sale allocation and 1 royalty share allocation. Going back to the Vetter tokens, this means that you're holding Vetter tokens in the same exact wallet that you're staking your VSL in. Okay, so let's just say that you're holding about 10K Vetter tokens. That would equate to a 2x multiplier on your allocations and your royalty shares. And then as you can see, it continues. The more Vetter you're holding, the greater the multiplier. And then what they actually have, they have these diamond tiers, which these are really, a lot of people want to get to this level because obviously you can see the multiplier is massive. Now, holding any amount of Vetter is great, and a certain amount gets you certain access to the calendar, which is also really a really great resource. But if you really want to maximize what you're doing here with Skylabs, you do want to kind of allocate as much Vetter token as you can to get these multipliers. So remember that first example, the person had 4 million VSL tokens staked. If they staked those as is, they would get 40 allocations and 40 royalty shares. But let's just say that they're holding no Vetter tokens in their wallet, which means that they would get no multiplier on their shares. So then they would have 40 allocation and 40 royalty shares with their 4 million staked VSL. Okay, we're going to come back to this. But example 2, 5 million VSL staked. Okay, the person that just staked everything, they didn't sell anything. If they went and staked it, then they would get 50 allocations and 50 royalty shares. But let's say that this person was holding Vetter token. They were holding 1 million Vetter tokens, which would then equate to a 10x multiplier. That means that their 50 allocation and 50 royalty shares multiplied by the 10x multiplier would then equate to 500 allocation and 500 royalty shares with the amount of staked VSL, which means they didn't have to stake any more VSL. They didn't have to buy any more VSL. They got this many more royalty and allocation shares just by holding Vetter token. But holding Vetter token also does give you access to the calendar. So it's kind of like it has a multifunction benefit to holding that. Okay. Now, real quick in this example, let's just say this person with the 40 and the 40, they were also holding 1 million Vetter. So then they would also get the 10 million or the 10x multiplier. So then they would then turn those into 400 allocation shares and 400 royalty shares. Now, there's a difference of 100 shares in each, as you can see here. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but as we progress, I'm going to show you how it can make a big impact as far as royalty and allocation shares go. So cool. Now we have a whole bunch of allocation shares and we have a whole bunch of royalty shares. So what does that really mean? Like, okay, cool. We got all these shares. Like, what do we really get from them? So let's talk about the pre-sale allocations first. With pre-sale allocations, it means that you get guaranteed participation in all projects and tokens being launched off of Skylabs Launchpad, okay? Guaranteed participation. Another way to say that is that you're pretty much getting a permanent whitelist spot on all these upcoming launches. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means no more fighting for limited whitelist spots, no more entering in those, early on competitions where you got to go and retweet and like and follow and do this and invite 5 people. You don't have to earn points to get a whitelist spot. None of that. This is huge, guys. The more you stake, the more you're able to put towards, okay, a greater allocation amount towards these launches. So again, it's like a permanent whitelist spot. That's awesome. That means you don't have to do anything. So the people that were, that get upset whenever they don't get a whitelist spot, because they're just, oh, it wasn't fair, yada, yada. Well, guess what? The benefit is now you don't have to deal with that. You can just stake VSL and you don't have to worry about anything. You can just sit back, relax, and you're going to get guaranteed allocation, pre-sale participation on all the projects that are going to launch off Skylabs. So let's just say that Skylabs launches 5 projects in the 4th quarter of 2022, okay, just a little bit later this year. And let's say that all those projects, and this is very modest, okay, let's just say that they all do a 10x at launch. That would mean that because you have pre-sale allocations, it means that you would get multiple opportunities to make continual gains on your capital, right? If these all do 10x, you can shave some profits. But also, more importantly, is that you get to be an early investor in all of the top tier industry defining projects. And can you really put a price on that? You're getting in early on all these super top tier, well-developed projects. And and you're getting in early because of this benefit you have with these pre-sale allocations because of Skylabs staking. So now let's talk about the royalty shares. So, okay, cool. That's what allocations get you. Now, what do royalty shares get you? So the way I like to think of royalty shares is that it's similar to dividends in that holders or VSL stakers, they receive sort of like passive income or returns, from the residual revenue generated by the investment holding. So in this case, the investment holding would be Skylabs Launchpad and VSale Launchpad, okay? But they're going to be generating actual revenue, okay? We're going to get into how they're going to be doing that in the next slide, but a couple more details here. So VSL stakers will receive royalties first from the buy and sell tax of Skylabs, and then later on, once all the taxes are removed, because they will be removing these taxes off of Skylabs, they already removed them off of Vetter token, which that's huge, for a project to do that. They're going to be doing the same thing for Skylabs, and they're going to be doing this when they're going to get listed onto centralized exchanges. And when this happens, man, if you're holding some of these tokens, like just be ready for that ride, because if they get listed on, when they get listed on centralized exchanges, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a good time. So, just be looking out for that. But anyways, so once all the taxes are removed, the royalties will then come from 20% of the revenue generated by both Skylabs and VSale. Okay, so there's 2 launch pads, Skylabs and VSale, and then I'm going to go into details and the differences between those here coming up soon. But one last point is that royalties come from the VSL tokens allocated directly from the taxes. Okay, so this is just at the start. The buy and sell tax of Skylabs, that's where the royalties will come from. So they're not going to be printing tokens. They're going to be coming directly from the buy tax and sell tax. Later, the royalties will come from, this is huge, fair market buybacks of VSL token, and then they'll be distributed. So what that means is that, again, they're not going to be printing tokens to reward the people staking. No, they're actually going to go and buy actual fair market valued buybacks. What does that mean? That means upward pressure on the chart. And then after that, they're going to distribute it to the holders, right? And then at that point, the holders can do whatever they want to do. But what I'm saying is that this is huge. So I want to just kind of highlight this, is that the royalties do not come from printing more tokens and then distributing to stakers. That's inflationary. Okay, that's like fiat currency. That's not a sustainable model. So what this means is that true non-inflationary royalties are being distributed. What the other guys are doing are it's just not sustainable. But But without getting into too much detail, let's just go ahead and move on. And I made a couple of illustrations to kind of highlight how these launch pads make their revenue. So we'll start with a couple of points. You know, if you guys didn't know, there are hundreds to even thousands of tokens and projects continuing to launch every month. So some of them, they're pretty good. Some of them, they're not so good. Some of them are just rug pulls, they're honeypots, or just straight up scams. Okay, so they're very risky. And most of these tokens, they need a launch off of a launch pad. Okay, in this example, I'm going to use Pink Sale. So they need to launch off of a launch pad, and these launch pads, they keep all the revenue, which goes solely to the devs and the owners of that launch pad. Okay, so we'll go down here and check this example out. So here are all the tokens that are launching every single day, you know, hundreds a month. There are investors that want to get in on these tokens, but they are risky because you never know if it's going to be a scam or, you know, what sort of intentions the developers have for the project. But in any case, they need to go to, these tokens need to find a launch pad. So a popular one right now is Pink Sale. I'm sure you guys have heard of it if you've kind of been in the game for a while. So how does Pink Sale make their money? Well, Pink Sale charges these tokens fees, commissions, and they actually allocate a certain amount of these tokens at launch and they sell them. They sell them on the market, which is why a lot of these projects dump, because the launchpad itself is the one selling, putting all that selling pressure on the chart. Now, Pink Sale, they're making millions every single month through these fees and these commissions and these selling profits, millions. But guess what? All that revenue goes only to Pink Sale, okay? Not the move. I mean, if you're the owner of Pink Sale, that's great. But for everyone else, not so much. So now let's move on here, and I'm going to show you the difference between Pink Sale and V Sale. So real quick, a question to consider, a $1 billion question to consider is, how can you make the most profit from all these launches? One is investing in them, yes. But another, okay, one solution is to find an open launch pad that allows projects to freely launch, but it also rewards investors with passive income via royalty shares generated from the revenue. So the risky option is still available, meaning same as in this model, the investors can still invest in these tokens, but now also the option of a more risk-averse consistent income stream via VSL staking is available. So we're going to get into that. So again, the tokens are here. Here are the investors that want to invest in these tokens. You need to find a launch pad. Instead of going to Pink Sale, why don't they go to V Sale? So they go to V Sale, and V Sale charges these tokens the same thing, some fees, some commissions, and with all of that revenue that gets generated, 20% of it goes directly to VSL stakers via the royalty shares. And then the remaining, of course, goes to the Better ecosystem for upgrades, expansion, development, etc., which if they invest the money back in the ecosystem, better marketing, more expansion, more exposure, getting kind of more mass attention, guess what? That's going to benefit everyone that's staking, inevitably. So in this example, they're sharing part of the revenue. In this example, Pink Sale is keeping it all. So this is great because this is a more risk-averse option, meaning if there's an investor that they don't want to sit here and guess and potentially get scammed, get their money just rug pulled, they don't want to deal with that. Well, guess what? You can just scoop up a whole bunch of royalty shares, sit back, relax, and just earn passive income just by being a VSL staker in this model. So now over here, all these tokens are going to be able to go onto VSale Launchpad, no problem. It's going to be an open Launchpad. But the benefit is, if you're holding Vetter, is that you'll get access to Vetter's CrowdX vetting calendar, which basically leads to more informed investment decisions for investors. Because in that calendar, they sort of categorize all the projects that are going to be launching. They kind of go in and they kind of give their kind of like expert opinion. They give some red flags, green flags. And so in that sense, it gives a would-be investor that much more information to decide, if it's the project that they want to invest in and how much they want to invest into it. Okay, so that's a really nice benefit also there. So moving on now, let's get into the differences between VSale and Skylabs, okay, because there's two different launchpads, and so I want to highlight the differences between them. But real quick, let's just touch upon the allocation shares. Okay, so going in greater depth, staking VSL tokens gets you guaranteed allocations, which is another way of saying pretty much guaranteed whitelist spots in all future tokens and projects that are going to be launching off of only Skylabs, their VIP launchpad. So it is one ecosystem, but they have two separate launchpads. One launchpad, vSale, is the more open launchpad, similar to the pink sale model where any developer, any team can kind of go in and launch their project no problem. This one, stakers will receive 20% of the royalty of the generated income via royalty shares. But allocations, you're not going to get whitelist spots for these projects here. Now, on the other hand, Skylabs is the more VIP launchpad. And this is the one that's really interesting, because not only do you get 20% royalty shares from all the revenue generated, right? All the fees, all the commissions, and all that good stuff. Well, you're also going to get allocations in this one, which means that the projects that are going to launch off of Skylabs, you're going to get guaranteed whitelist spots. You're going to be able to participate in the pre-sale. That's huge. So again, both of these will generate revenue, and 20% of that revenue will go to VSL stakers. So I kind of want to touch upon some key elements of Skylabs Launchpad and why it's so innovative and why it's something that the industry truly needs. And they didn't know that they need it, but now here it is. So Skylabs Launchpad has elevated criteria that is used to select projects for the Skylabs Launchpad. What that means is that the projects that are wanting to launch off of Skylabs, they need to have some sort of cutting edge blockchain technology innovation and or some sort of competitive marketing position and strong fundamentals with a clear path to revenue. So they got to kind of be like a little bit more of a legit project, which is good because that means that only the best of the best projects will be allowed to launch off of Skylabs. So what does that mean? Well, better projects means greater investor interest, both from large cap whale investors and smaller investors alike. So better projects means better interest. It's a win-win-win for everyone. It's a win for the investors, but it's also a win for the projects themselves, the developers. Why? Well, because it gives them exposure to a larger community of higher quality investors, right? Because if everyone's staking and they believe in this model, that means that it's probably investors that have a more longer term sort of vision, right? That are going to be a little bit more loyal, right? That are going to hold a little bit longer, that maybe even have a little bit more capital to work with. Okay, and that's good because this assists all the developers of the top tier projects that are going to want to get onto Skylabs with greater market exposure. It'll help them in getting success in raising the appropriate amount of capital for their projects and also marketing them to successfully get the project off the ground. So a lot of these developers, they have great ideas, great projects, but they're good at what they do. They're good at innovating. They're good at the technical, coding and sort of more the technological side. Well, there's a business side to it, and a lot of it also has to do with marketing. So when these projects come to Skylabs, it'll sort of ultimately ensure the longevity of the project's success via Skylabs project developer resources. So not only is Skylabs a launchpad, but they're offering resources to developers. Okay, what are these resources? Well, some of them are that they have in-house developers on payroll. That's why they've been able to get things done so quickly and so efficiently. But they're also going to be offering legal services, marketing, branding strategy, market positioning, and just general consulting and more. So this is huge. I don't know anyone else in this industry that's offering this to projects and to developers. So this is going to bring in some really seriously top tier, high caliber teams and projects. And guess what? If you're staking VSL token, you're going to be able to get in on these with the allocations. That's awesome. So now let's talk about that. Okay, so going back to these examples. Okay, remember at the very beginning, we had the two strategies. How in the first example, the individuals sold about 1/5 of their position early on, and then because they wanted to secure their initial BNB investment, so they sold some and then they got their 10 BNB back. Okay, cool. So then they were left with 4 million VSL stake tokens. And let's just go with the example that they were also holding Vetter in their wallet. So let's say that they were holding 1 million Vetter tokens, which would have given them a 10x multiplier. So then their allocations and royalty shares would have been multiplied by 10, which would have gotten them the 400 and the 400. Now, in the other example, the person at the very beginning, they did not sell. So there was no selling. And then they decided they kept and they held all their VSL tokens, and then they staked their entire position. Different strategies, but we're going to see how it plays out. So they had 5 million VSL tokens staked, which would have gotten them 50 and 50 just by itself. But because they were holding Vetter, they got the 10x multiplier. So then their allocations turned into 500 allocation shares and 500 royalty shares. So again, 400 versus 500. It's only a 100 share difference. What's the big deal, right? It doesn't sound like a lot. Well, check it out. It actually can be substantial. Taking those two examples, example 1 with the 400 allocation shares and example 2 with the 500 allocation shares. In this, now again, this is just hypothetical, okay? I know I'm using really nice, good round numbers. This is a very dynamic industry. It's not necessarily going to be like this, but but let me just, to be able to point out the difference here, right, of how big of a difference it can make. So let's just say that the allocation allotment for Skylabs pre-sale, let's say it's set at 0.01 BNB per every one allocation share. So that means that for every one allocation share that someone has, they're able to put up 0.01 BNB. So if someone just staked enough just to get this one, that's how much they'd be able to put into the pre-sale, okay, 0.01 BNB. But obviously, if you're holding more, like these guys are, well, you'll be able to put more BNB towards the pre-sale, right, towards the pre-launch. So let's go with example 1 with the 400 allocation shares. So let's say it was capped at 0.01 BNB per allocation, but because they had 400 allocation shares, if you do the math, it would mean that they would be able to put 4 BNB as a max contribution towards the project that's going to be launching off of Skylabs. Let's just say that 4 BNB investment in the pre-sale contribution, let's just say that the project did a 100x. So it's a VIP project at launch, right? So there's a lot of interest, so it's very possible that that could happen. So their 4 BNB, if the project did 100x at launch, that means that their 4 BNB would have turned into a 400 BNB potential profit. That's a great day. But now let's go over here to this example. So same thing, but with 100, just 100 more allocation shares. So again, there's the max contribution per allocation share, but this guy has 500 allocation shares, which means that he's able to put 5 BNB as a max contribution towards the pre-sale. So just one more BNB of a difference here between 4 and 5. So with this person's 5 BNB contribution to the pre-sale, let's say that project did 100x. Guess what? That would turn into 500 BNB of potential profit. So look at the difference. Just this person sold 10 BNB very early on in the project. This person decided to stake all of it and scoop up those extra 100 shares. It doesn't seem like a lot, but look at the difference now. This person would have made a $400 or a 400 BNB profit, and this person would have made a 500 BNB profit. That's a 100 BNB difference. That's huge. Let's say BNB is trading at, $300 per BNB. That's $30,000 difference on just one launch. So we can conclude, so in conclusion, in this hypothetical example, selling just 1 BNB worth of VSL in the very beginning, early on, could have potentially cost someone a profit of 100 BNB later with just one project. Now I get it, 100x is like, whoa man, 100x, like that's kind of being generous. Okay, fine. We could be a little bit more conservative and just say that a project does 20x at launch. Well, then in that sense, you only need those 5 projects that all do about 20x's to hit the same amount of profit difference. So, and also as a side note, this is just the allocation shares. Now, if we're going to talk about royalty shares, the difference would also be that we're not taking into account here the extra returns that this person would have more than this person because they also have 100 more royalty shares, right? That adds up. So to kind of wrap everything up, Vetter ecosystem is comprised of the Vetter token with the CrowdX calendar, this is where they sort and categorize all the projects that are going to be launching. So this will be well integrated with the vSale launchpad. This empowers investors, right? This allows people to leverage people's time and other people's experience, and they're able to make more informed decisions on the tokens that are going to be launching. The second token is VSL token, and that's the one that gets you access, if you stake it, to their VIP launchpad, which you'll be able to get royalty shares and allocation shares in all the projects that launch off of this launchpad. And then you'll also be receiving royalty shares from their vSale, more open launchpad. And remember, when you hold Vetter token, not only do you get access to their really awesome calendar, but it also gives you a multiplier to your shares. So this kind of empowers investors, and this rewards investors. So to sum it up, that's sort of the ecosystem in a nice little, infographic image here. And yeah, so that does it for this, guys. I just want to thank you guys for watching so much. And, I'm just really glad you took the time to watch this. I hope that made a little bit more sense for everyone. But yeah, this was kind of a quick summary of the white paper, just condensed down into a more digestible video format. So yeah, thanks guys. Hope you enjoyed. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that was informative. I hope those illustrations kind of helped you understand where the royalties come from, how it's all generated, how the allocation shares work. I know that sometimes the white paper is kind of like a little bit, it's an investment of your time, like spending 20, 30 minutes to read a white paper. I know not everyone's going to do that, but maybe a video is a little bit easier. And so I hope I broke that down enough in a simple, for beginners to understand, and also for more advanced people to kind of like really kind of just, see it in a different light. I really encourage each and every one of you to go in and read the white paper, because then it'll kind of, you'll see what's really getting built out here. So yeah, just to kind of wrap it up, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, you can probably find them in the white paper. And if not, go ahead and just drop them in the Telegram. There's a handful of mods that are more than willing to answer everyone's questions. So if you're new to the community and you just stumbled across this, like, welcome. I think you're gonna like, how things kind of get done around here. And if you've been in the game for a little bit longer, like, I think you can see that this is different. So but yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, my name's Asher. You can catch me in the Telegram. I'm in there sometimes too, chiming in. And yeah, guys, I'm excited for this launch. I'm excited to see where this project is gonna go. This one's different. I hope you guys are able to see that too. But anyways, that does it for me. Thanks so much for watching this video. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on the moon. All right, guys, take care.